one side, US wants to bring in ceasefire in action. On the other side, US is also preparing for a plan B if the ceasefire does not work out. And in this plan, they are adding yet another territory to the list which they want to seize. Initially, it was Venezuela, then came Greenland, Cuba, and now the last answer that US has to stopping Iran war is occupation of Kharg Island. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to talk about this special island which might be the actual answer to ending Iran war from US's end, but at the same time why this island plays such an important role or such has significance which can actually be detrimental to this whole situation. Let us try to understand all of this from scratch. So understanding the first thing, that what exactly is happening. So what US is planning, US has already conducted more than 90 plus airstrikes on Kharg Island, and in order to ensure that US occupies this if Iran does not agree to ceasefire, US is already planning that. Now in this context, first thing that we need to understand is that why Kharg Island is important. What is the significance? What are the main things about this island that make it so special that it can actually stop Iran or stop US? So starting with understanding where is Kharg Island located. So if you look at the state of Iran present right here and the Persian Gulf, this small orange dot, this is Kharg Island. It is located in northern Persian Gulf, only 30 to 50 kilometers off the Iran coast. Now this is very closely located to Iran's Bushehr province. Now when we are talking about the physiography of this island, this is also very important because when we are talking about Iran's continental shelf, it is shallow. But at the same time, when we are talking about Kharg Island, it is a coral island formation and it is relatively stable offshore platform which is present here. And furthermore, it is surrounded by deep waters, especially when we are talking about the shallow Iran continental shelf that is present. Now, because of this physiographic condition, a lot of things are enabled for this island. That means there can be easy docking of VLCCs and ULCCs. Very large crude carriers and ultra large crude carriers can easily be docked at this particular island. And this becomes very special because Persian Gulf is shallow. The average depth that you will find is around 50 meters, but the Kharg region has relatively deeper pockets which allows the docking of VLCCs and ULCCs in this region. Now this is what gives a very strategic maritime position to Kharg Island. Now the strategic position in terms of physiography, yes, it is present for Kharg Island, but from the maritime context, it also becomes very important because if we go back to the map, we clearly get to see that it is closely located to Strait of Hormuz. And this is the location which further enhances the significance. It lies along the oil shipping routes of the West Asia, and that is why the control over Kharg Island is very important because this gives the indirect leverage over the global oil movement that takes place. Let us go back to the location and see. So when we are talking about all these economy states present here, be it Saudi Arabia, be it Qatar, Kuwait, and then the small coast of Iraq as well, this is the major shipping route of this whole region. So presence of Kharg Island overlooks this, and then of course the proximity adds to the very benefit of this location. So the presence in this location gives an indirect leverage to any entity which controls it. Now let us talk about directly what is the significance of this particular island. First, it plays a huge role when we are talking about Iran's oil economy. When we are talking about Iran's crude export, 85 to 90% comes from Kharg Island. That means the main source of Iran's revenue is coming from this island and the foreign exchange earnings are coming from this island. Infrastructure wise, it is also very well placed. That means its storage has massive tank farms where it can handle millions of barrels of capacity. Add to that, It has export enabling multiple loading jetties, and the peak loading capacity is 7 million barrels per day. This is the estimate of the last year. Of course, it has diminished over recent times, especially when we are talking about the infrastructure capacity. And furthermore, there are factors which make Kharg Island irreplaceable. We have understood about location, we have understood about the proximity to Strait of Hormuz. Infrastructure wise, the amount of handling Kharg Island does. Add to that, when we are talking about alternatives that other Iranian ports give to Iran, they only have shallow water. They cannot handle the large tanks that we are talking about, ULCCs and VLCCs, and they have limited infrastructure. So creating this kind of infrastructure at any other port, given the physiographic condition, is almost impossible. So Kharg is irreplaceable because not only of the capacity it has, but also because of the factor that this capacity and this facilitation cannot be created in any other place. And that is exactly what makes Kharg Island the single point of failure. If this is brought in by the control of US, then Iran seems to be defeated. So this is a huge vulnerability which is present at the end of Iran. Now, when we are talking about beyond this dynamic between US, Israel and Iran, understanding it from the global economic chain perspective, the supply chain perspective, Kharg Island is also very important from that context, because this is the place which supplies oil not just to Asia, but this also, any disruption here will lead to further oil prices spike and supply chain will be instabilized. Supply chain will be absolutely disrupted. So we get to see that Kharg is not just about Iran, it is also about the global energy and the supply that comes from therein. And if anything at all, for example, US striking Kharg left, right and center and disrupting the infrastructure there, it is going to cost the global supply chain as well. Now let us move to understand that why US wants to overtake. Why does US want to occupy Kharg? The US and the contention here is between Iran. So why Kharg is being targeted? Kharg is being targeted, as I told, that this is a single point of failure. It will lead to economic coercion. Iran will be defeated economically because this is a huge point, economic loss to Iran. This will block all of Iran's oil export, and this will not only reduce Iran's state revenue, war funding capacity, but also be a very important factor in defeat of Iran. Now, if Kharg Island is controlled, because of the proximity to Strait of Hormuz, it will provide Hormuz deterrence as well. That means whatever Iran is threatening in terms of blocking the strait, that will also be taken away. And this is another of the war strategies that the US is using, that they don't want to go for mainland invasion. Iran is too big, it is too risky, so defeating economically or causing this single point of failure is somewhat a strategy that US is going for. They are focusing on high value strategic asset, occupying it and leading to coercion so that Iran can go away from this situation. Now in this context, we have understood that why Kharg is important, why US is occupying it. Now let us consider the most important and the larger angle, that global impact. So when we are looking at this occupation, it is becoming important also because if occupation does not happen and destruction happens, it will cause energy insecurity. There will be trade disruption. And if the airstrikes continue, the regional war escalation, which is already at a higher rate, might further go ahead. India's concerns remain the same that have been for the Iran war throughout, be it the energy dependence that we have, the diaspora safety issue we have, and the increasing trade and shipping costs. And the answers to it are again the same: diversification, self-reliance, and making sure that we balance the diplomacy that we have with these countries. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. I'll be leaving you here with a prelims practice question. Put down your answers in the comment section. I would be waiting for them. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.